Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here is your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning and welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown, our weekly show where we discuss the good things that are happening around the greater Joplin area and the great work that's being done by all the different people of different faiths from around our area. This morning our guest is going to be Rhonda Gorham, who's the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Joplin. And so Rhonda's going to be talking to us in this between Thanksgiving and Christmas time about some of the ways that our local charities certainly depend upon giving during that time, but again, all year round. Also talking about the good work that the Boys and the Girls Clubs do, because they've been around for a long time and have been helping a lot of the younger members of our community with some of their basic needs in life. And so we'll be back in a few moments to talk about that. We will be right back after this Mercy Minute, so please stay tuned with Rhonda Gorham from the Boys and Girls Club.
Find out how a Mercy doctor can take care of you. At Mercy, your life is our life's work. Quality, safety, and an exceptional patient experience. Mercy is grateful to be recognized as one of the top 15 health systems in the United States. At Mercy, your life is our life's work.
Well, welcome back. Thank you for joining us this morning. Again, our guest this morning is going to be Rhonda Gorham of the Boys and the Girls Club here of Joplin. We've been doing our show about a year, and one of the things that I really enjoy doing is talking to the different social service agencies, if you will, here, if you want, for lack of a better term, here in our area, and all the good work that's being done around the region. So, Rhonda, first tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club.
All right. Well, I am Rhonda Gorham. I've been at the Boys and Girls Club for 9 years. Been married 28, have 2 children, both girls. One's graduated going to Missouri Southern, and the other is a freshman in Seneca.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you live a lot. I like that because this is, again, the greater Joplin area. So we include Seneca and all those good things going on down there too. So you've been there for several years. Tell us a little bit about the work of the Boys and the Girls Club for our folks that might not understand or know about any of that.
I always tell people I think we're probably one of the best kept secrets in town. I don't know why that is. We do such good work, but it seems like a lot of people every year say, I've never heard of it, where are you located? But we've been around 60 years. Yeah. 60 years next year, we'll be here 60 years, which is hard to believe. We do after school programming and summer programming for kids 6 to 18. So that's another kind of surprise to people that we see kids that old. And we do lots of different programming.
So, I mean, is this programming for kids who are in a lower economic, or kind of a stressed, atmosphere that way, or is this for all kids 6 to 16, 6 to 18? Who's your service target audience?
It is for all kids. We do tend to see a lot of kids in a lower economic, but our mission statement is to serve those to any child who needs us most. And needs us most can mean anything. It could be that kid that is struggling in school. It could be a single mom who's struggling and needs some care for her child. It could be the family of 5, which we do have, who both parents are working and they have young kids and they don't want them left home alone, and they need help getting that homework done. So those who need us most can mean anything. It isn't always about the income.
Sure. So tell us about some of the programs then you've got going, or some of the things that you're most excited about right now.
Well, our after-school program, a few years ago, when Joplin released their graduation rates and said they would like to have help with that we were only graduating like 50-60% kids were graduating on time. And we said we, as the Boys and Girls Club, need to do something about that. So we took a real education feel to our program, and we are not educators, but we said we can teach math, we can teach science, and we can teach reading and writing, you know, with kids. It's something they can do, hands-on stuff in the club, where they're not sitting down with paper and pencil, but whatever they learn at school, we can bring it to the club and they can do hands-on stuff. So with science, we're always painting, touching, blowing up, oozing, all kinds of things, because we like
like
them.
a Mr. Science show
That's
right there at the Boys and Girls
That's
Club.
right. We want them hands-on because they have sat in a chair for 6 hours. We want, if they've heard about planets, we want them building planets and constructing them and then talking about them and making it a little more fun for them, but they're getting it twice.
Yeah. And so you work in conjunction with the school district to try to make sure you're getting the curriculum kind of tweaked to you know, reinforce in
Right.
effect what they're learning in school during the day.
Absolutely. We follow their standards. Now, we're not always right with them. So if they're working on planets, we may not be working on planets this week. It may come before them, after them. But we have a weekly theme curriculum that the kids go through. So usually if you walk through the club, you kind of know what we've been talking about because it's kind of all over the place.
Sure.
We serve an average daily attendance in the Joplin site alone, about 220 kids. So there's a lot of kids there that need us.
Yeah. So you say in the Joplin site. So what other sites do you have around the area? How far do you reach out? Because again, we're the greater, and we're talking about the
Absolutely.
larger area here.
We have 2 Webb City sites. We're in the junior high in Webster. So we run about 150 kids over there, almost 200 now actually, at the Webb City site. And then in summer, everybody comes back to the Joplin site because school sites close. And then we serve all kinds of kids, Seneca, Carthage, Carl Junction. If I started naming them, I'd leave someone out because parents work in Joplin.
Right.
And so they can drop their kids for the day and leave.
Oh, there you go.
and then
So
pick
that's
'em
the
up.
summer programs. You really
It's a
wind up
summer
with a lot,
program.
you know, with
Yeah.
a lot more and even a broader target audience
Oh,
for that one.
absolutely. Mhm.
Yeah. So, so you do a lot of the after-school stuff. What other programs you got going besides just after-school stuff and the summer program? So, the summer programs, I guess, like summer camp.
Yeah, we call it summer camp, but we still have a learning piece to it. We think it's real important that when kids are out for the summer that they don't have any learning loss. So we keep them reading. We have reading buddies. We still do that science, math throughout summer. The first 3 hours of the day, maybe 4, we work on education stuff. And then the last 4 or 5 hours of the day, we do the bowling, the skating, the swimming, the fun stuff, you know. School can be fun too. I don't want to say the morning's not fun, but
Yeah,
you know.
no, but I mean,
Yeah.
learning, you know, that's the real, I mean, which one of us didn't love our teachers
Right.
that made
Absolutely.
learning fun? So, I mean, you know, to do that hand in hand is always a blessing.
Right.
When you got somebody that can make the learning fun, it makes you want to go after it a little bit more, which is good. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have a ton of programs specifically for our teens. That's a group that really needs us, but we tend to lose them once they can drive. So we're kind of working on that to try to figure out how we can keep them engaged and out of trouble. But we do resumes and how to interview for jobs. It's a program called Career Launch.
Okay.
We have a Money Matters program where they learn how to invest and save and just things, some life skills that they can take with them forever.
That's great. So like for example, in this Money Matters thing, so what would be like the curriculum? Because that fascinates me. Because that was one of those things that, I mean, my mom and dad did some of that with me, but I mean, I didn't learn a bunch of it until I was actually older. And you know, I mean, like,
Right.
I mean, you know, look at me. I don't have a lot of money to invest, okay? But I had to learn a little bit about that because I want to invest a little, you know, just
Sure.
you know, to try to, you know, be in that game a little bit, if you will.
Right.
But I mean, what do you teach them? I mean, how do you teach a 16-year-old to care about, you know, saving money and investing it and doing all that stuff? What do you
Right. Well, it's a computer program. One of the programs we have is a computer program, and they kind of have their own town. And in that town, they get to decide, am I going to go to college? Am I going to go to work? So they make those decisions. Am I going to, so now I have to pay for college. So what does that look like? And how am I gonna, what kind of car am I gonna have? And you know, sometimes kids have these real unrealistic ideas. So once they plug that all in and then they figure out they have to work to get that, then they start bringing those back down to more realistic. And so it just kind of shows them set goals, and this is how you reach it, and they just walk through these programs. It starts pretty basic, you know, how to spend, how to budget, even writing checks, even those are becoming obsolete. We kind of talk
Don't
about
say that. I don't want to know about it.
Because you still have to budget and you have to reconcile. Just because you have that plastic card doesn't mean you don't have to reconcile, which kids just think you don't.
Yeah.
So we teach some of that too with them.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think that those are some great life skills that, you know, that really all kids could use. And, you know, it's just like, I did have this one experience with my dad one time because you know, he showed me where to put gas in the car, but he never showed me where to put oil in the car. And all of a sudden, you know, the car, you know, I burn up an engine because I didn't, and my dad says, why didn't you put oil in the car? And I said, I didn't know the car needed oil.
Right.
And he's like, I never told you where to put the oil. And I'm like, no. And he's like, oh. Okay, so I mean, you know, some of those things,
the basics.
again, folks don't sometimes think about teaching those things.
Right.
You know, and so learning some of those things, you know, in kind of a fun atmosphere with a, you know, kind of, you know, computer program or whatever, or game, because it sounds like kind of a computer game.
They have to do math. They have to do math and things in there and fun games to get them, but they're all educational games to work. That's how they work. So they reach goals and then they get money and then they can spend it on whatever they choose. And if they choose wrong.
Well, you know, and I think it is kind of interesting to say, you know, okay, well, if I'm going to drive a Mustang or something, you know, it's like, how much is that going to cost? Because you don't think about those things. All you do is see is you see the cool car and want, oh, I want that.
I want that.
I want that. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting stuff, but how are you going to pay for it? You know,
we talk a lot about wants and needs and what that means, and we all have wants, and we should make goals to get to those wants, but the needs come first, you know, groceries, electricity bill, those kinds of things come first. And
all that stuff's kind of built into the game.
Yes.
That they got to do all that
Absolutely.
stuff. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's fun.
So Money Matters, good. A good program for your teens. What else you got going for the teenagers?
For the teens, a lot of it, there's just a few basic programs, and then it's kind of a hangout place. Okay. You know, we want them to feel safe coming in and just hanging out and visiting. About 50% of our kids are in single-parent homes. And it stays that way. I don't know why that is, but over my 9 years, it's always been about 50% of our families. And whether that's mom, dad, grandma raising the kiddos, they're missing one in their life. And so we try to pair them up with a male staff or female staff, whatever they may need, and just kind of mentor too. Just hang out, mentor, let them build those relationships so they can talk about whatever they need.
Yeah, and I think that that's, you know, trying to provide some of that, you know, in terms of what they might not have. But you know, the other thing is always very important too is that parents sometimes need those other adults, because I mean, your own parents are always stupid, but somebody else's parents are cool.
Right.
You know, which is normal for all you parents out there that are listening. It's just like we're all, you know. I was just teaching, you know, college for all these years. I always tell my, you know, things, don't worry, you'll be smart in another, you know, when they're about 25, all of a sudden you're going to look brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So again, our guest this morning has been Rhonda Gorham from the Boys and the Girls Clubs. She's the executive director of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Joplin here in Southwest Missouri. And we've been talking a little bit about what the Boys and Girls Clubs do for some of our youth of our area in terms of the programming and everything they do. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk a little bit about this in between holiday time and how some of those moments that we can use you know, to raise funds during this big fundraising time of the year. So this is Faith in Our Hometown. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Well, welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown. Again, our guest this morning has been Rhonda Gorham of the Boys and Girls Clubs. So Rhonda, thanks for being with us again this morning. We were talking a little bit before the break about the importance of the holidays. Yeah. And we know that for anybody that does not-for-profit work, we know that one of these times of the year when people are generous or when they're looking at their donations and knowing, okay, well, I should probably give a little bit more to charity now before the end of the year. This is a great time for not-for-profit organizations to make some money for the year.
Absolutely.
So talk about the importance that is for your organization and some of the things that maybe our viewers might have an interest in helping with.
Sure. Every year we throw a very large holiday party for our kids. We want them to experience Christmas, and a lot of them don't get Christmas. So we'll put out a list of names of kids. We start as staff looking at the kids that may not have a Christmas. And people will call, and we invite you to call and ask to sponsor a kid. And we usually do it anonymously. And we'll tell them there's 2 boys, a girl, whatever in that family, and then they can do whatever they want, and then we'll pass the gifts through to the family. So that's one way people can get involved.
Now let me just ask this question, because again, a lot of people really, and I understand this perfectly, because people give us money at the church all the time and say, we want you to use this money wisely.
Right.
So
Right.
all these, your kids, your clients, if you will, they're all basically vetted. You basically know what their backgrounds are, you know what their income levels are.
Sure.
So basically, if you're helping do this to the Boys and Girls Clubs, nobody's out there trying to take advantage of anybody.
Right.
These are your clients, you know them well, and you work with them.
Right.
And so if somebody wants to sponsor a child, doing that to the Boys and the Girls Club, and there are other organizations that do
Absolutely.
it as well, but the
Absolutely.
Boys and the Girls Club is one of those that you can make sure that
Yeah.
that you know what you're given to
Right.
is an honest and clear deal. It's just
Right.
not somebody's going to gather in presents and then go out and sell them and all that kind of.
Right.
We've all heard the horror
Right.
stories.
Right.
But this is a trustworthy
Right.
thing, and you've already
Absolutely.
your client list, if you will, has kind of been vetted.
Right.
Everybody knows that these are folks of real need that your
Right.
staff has worked with and your social workers and stuff.
We can watch kids. We know the kids that need new shoes. We know the kids. And that's what we encourage people to do, is buy those school clothes, the tennis shoes, and a toy.
Yeah.
But really get them the things they need, that it makes their life a little better. Those dollars, like you say, are always great, but I always like to give people different options, because not everybody just wants to write a check. But definitely, to keep the lights on, we feed over 51,000 meals a year. So those donations go to feeding our kids every night, keeping our lights on, paid staff. When I err in my budget, I err with paid staff. I want to make sure their background screened. I want to make sure they're trained. And so we hire a lot of staff that work with the kids, and we want to make sure they're trained and appropriately know what's going on with our kids.
Sure.
And so those funds
You
would
wanna hire
definitely
people with
help
skills.
us out. That's what skills, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So we definitely want funds to help with that, just the daily operations. That's where a lot of those funds go. But if someone would want to come in and volunteer, we also do that. We have groups. We have a lot of churches around the holidays come in and work with kids and do special programming with them. We like that. We invite that. We have folks come in and serve cookies and punch. We like that. We like cookies.
You like cookies, the
Yeah.
Christmas cookies. Okay, all right. Makes good sense.
Yeah.
So in terms of those things, in terms of the work that you do in the feeding the meals, now that's again another key component, I think, that sometimes people don't always connect all those dots. Anybody that works in an arena like yours understands that, everybody says, well, why aren't these kids eating at home? Well, sometimes this is a way that we help those families as well,
Right.
who some of those kids might not be eating as well
Right.
if they weren't eating,
Right.
that extra meal at the Boys or Girls Club.
Right. Yeah.
I know that with our outreach, same thing during the summertime. We feed a lot more kids meals during the summertime because, again, sometimes the programs at school help make sure they get their bellies full, but
Right.
sometimes it's a program like you that can help a family that might be struggling to do that. I
Right.
really have to say, one of the things that I've just discovered working here in our area, in our region, is nobody wants our kids to be hungry.
Nobody wants our kids to be hungry, and 65% of the kids in Joplin are on free and reduced lunch, and 63% in Webb City are on free and reduced lunch. So all our sites have a pretty high free and reduced lunch, which means, they need some help with that anyway. So they're getting breakfast and lunch with the school, and then they're getting dinner with us at the Joplin site. Webb City doesn't serve dinner, but we serve a heavy snack. So that is a real important factor for us. We want to make sure kids are fed.
Yeah, and again, that helps families to stretch those other dollars, to keep their bill, their other bills paid, stay current with those things and some of those things. But feeding them is one of those things, because again, it really is, excuse me, hard for a kid to learn if they're hungry. You know, it's kind of hard for a kid to focus on whatever it is, you know, working on money matters.
Right.
If, you know, because for them, the practical thing is, how am I going to eat? Where's
Right.
that food, you know, where are those dollars going to go to? So with some of that, I mean, you know, there's kind of cross education kind of going on here
Right.
in different ways, because, you know, they'll know what, you know, some of those costs are.
Right.
When that's the first thing that goes in their house if something gets pinched.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So volunteering, writing those checks, bringing groups in to volunteer, mentoring our kids. We can put them one-on-one with a kiddo. They can follow them around in all their activities for the day. There's lots of ways to support. We've had people that have a special talent come in. I'm trying to think of one. We've had ladies that knew how to quilt and crochet, and they came in and did a small group with some girls, maybe a skill they would have never learned. And so
They'd teach the boys too if they wanted to.
yeah,
though.
they could teach
Okay,
the boys
all right,
too,
so-
whatever, whoever's interested in whatever. We've had
But whatever
art groups
projects,
come
yeah.
in. We have a lot of boys very interested in art and painting also, and so we've had some art groups come in, and they take whoever's interested and they'll teach them how to paint. And so we love those kinds of volunteers because
Yeah.
it's another way to expose kids to something maybe they didn't. Our kids have great potential. They really do. Every kid has great potential, but they don't always have opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's what we provide at the Boys and Girls Club is opportunities. And with supporters and folks like you that get me on TV to let me talk about that, we can give those as a community, we can give our kids opportunities.
Well, let me ask this question, because again, this sometimes our viewers do that, and we've had all kinds of different, like I say, different groups on to talk about some of these things. So you're one of the kid-centered organizations. How many kid-centered organizations do we have in town, just as a general rule?
Probably 5
Okay.
that I can think of.
I mean,
I
would
may
you
be
mind just
missing
mentioning them just
someone.
for, you know?
Sure, we have the Y, we have us, we have Children's Haven, the Children's Center. What would be my 5th? Those are the ones I can
that's
think
the
of.
ones
I'm
you can think
probably
right off the
leaving
top of-
someone
and
out.
Don't
Someone's
anybody
going to
be mad at
Rhonda.
Rhonda. Please do not be mad at Rhonda, because she didn't know I was going to ask that question, okay? But I mean, I do think, you know, that also gives us some ideas of other folks to invite on and share the work that they're doing as
Sure.
well. You know, we just want to make sure that all the folks in our listening or viewing area get the chance to hear what work is going on, because we know there are folks out there who are watching this morning saying, well, I want to do something for the holidays, or I want to do something, period. I want to make a difference in the life of a
Sure.
kid. Somebody, you know, maybe all their kids are grown and say, well, I can still help kids because it's a passion. How would you connect to do those things? And that's why
Right.
we do the shows like this, because
Right.
we want to make sure to. So if somebody wanted to contact you, tell everybody real quick how they would do that, because I want to make sure we get that
Okay.
in there, because when you did it, we didn't put a phone number or anything. So tell me.
All right. You can go to our website, and it's pretty simple. It's just BGCSWMO, Boys Girls Club, Southwest Missouri.org. We have a Facebook page. You can go there. We are at 819 Camingo. I forgot where we live. We're at 819 Camingo. So you can stop by. We sit right by Joe Baker Stadium.
Okay.
And you can call us at 417-623-8072.
623-8072. So if you can't remember any other things, you got the phone number there.
Got the phone number.
Okay, and so you can do some of that. So if you were to, okay, we're you know, like right between Thanksgiving and Christmas now. You told us in the general things. What would be your big dream for your kids for Christmas?
For Christmas, that every kid that needed it had a sponsor,
Okay.
and that they all walk away from the club that day happy from their party.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a worthwhile vision. Sometimes I think it's really kind of important for all of us who like to do helping things, because, you know, we always worry about, well, am I doing something just for the minute, or I'm doing something for the long term? And we always get kind of caught in that whole thing, because you want to do both.
Right.
And I think that's a great vision, because you're saying, well, sponsor, you know, okay, something for the long term, some, you know, clothes for,
Sure.
you know, the next semester and for the spring and all that kind of good stuff. But at the same time, let's just enjoy the
Let's
day.
have fun.
Let's enjoy the day, have some fun, do what we need to do to just enjoy ourselves today.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
for Christmas. I do think, you know, and again, you know, again, it's one of those things we've talked about on our show many different times. you know, it's a time of giving, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, okay?
Right.
And I know that the majority of the people in the area do, but there are other denominations out there, other beliefs who don't celebrate Christmas, who celebrate other holidays. And, you know, and also it's just a time of the year when folks do focus on giving.
Right.
And for whatever reason, this seems to be that time of the year.
Right.
Thanksgiving was just a national holiday.
Right.
You know, and,
Right.
and nothing to do with, you know, any particular religion or anything
Right.
else. But that's a time when people can jump on board and say, okay, I'm going to help somebody else. So we've heard from you about how to volunteer. We've heard from you about some of your dreams. All those good things. We get just a short period of time left. Is there anything else you want to ask for or beg for?
Oh, goodness, let's see.
Here's your moment.
I would like people to know that we have met our max capacity, which is something new for folks that has not came out of our mouths. And we are committing to expand our services, whether that's in an expanded building, a remodeled building, what that may look like. And so we're definitely going to be asking for community support at some point
Wow.
for that.
Well, good for you.
And we're really excited about that. We'd like to double our capacity for kids.
Wow.
And I
So you're
think
doing about 400 now. You'd like to go to 800.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, Rhonda. Well, we're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute. Don't go away.
Once I quit playing football, I still kept up with the eating, the amount of calories I wasn't exercising, so the weight started adding on. Dr. Lou is very knowledgeable in the work he does. He also has a program set up that has support systems in place for you. You know, you'll go through the seminar at first. He'll give you the different examples of surgeries you can have to see which one works best with you. He will also sit down with you and discuss the options, what he feels, but he'll work with you the entire time. Mercy has their gastric bypass program here. They have all kinds of resources and support systems in place. They want to see you succeed, and they're here to help you the entire time, even after the surgery.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning for Faith in Our Hometown. Our guest this morning has been Rhonda Gorham, who's the executive director of the Boys and the Girls Clubs here in Southwest Missouri, here in the greater Joplin area. So Rhonda has given us some great information this morning on the Boys and Girls Clubs. And again, I love our shows where we get to highlight some of the work that's being done on behalf of the larger community. Some of us do it because we care about kids. Some of us see that as a demand of faith. Some folks are just being good human beings and doing it for somebody else. Really doesn't matter what your motives are. If you care about kids, the Boys and Girls Club of Southwest Missouri is one of those things. Rhonda, the big dream that they have, besides all the good work that they're already doing, is that they're at capacity. And it's wonderful to be a social service agency that works and pushes people and grows an organization to its capacity. So you'll be listening, listen for them into the future, because they're going to be out there asking, like so many other groups do. They're trying to double their capacity for their kids, and so that means that they're going to be doing capital campaigns and going and doing their things. Let's listen for them and all the other people from our area who need our help in our work. And thanks for joining us. This is Faith in Our Hometown.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.